Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Gambit Spotting podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing the practical application of things going boom, aka Gambit's kinetic powers. This is going to be part 1 of a multi-part set into Gambit's power set. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, my name is Meg, aka Punker Ducky, and I am your host, and with me are my 3 co-hosts.
Hey, I'm Vonnie, aka Marvel Millennial, and you can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky.
I am Riley. I'm on Instagram as Cajun Cajole Art, and everywhere else, either Cajun Hawk or Cajun_Hawk.
And I'm Liv, and I am Calling the Spirits on Instagram.
So with that, we're going to just go right into this, because this is going to be a very involved topic with probably lots of tangents. Today we're going to start with just his main power, and all the derivatives of his main power. And his main power is control of kinetic energy. So he has the ability to take potential energy stored in objects and convert it to kinetic energy, and then he charges that item with explosive results. So there's a lot. We've been doing a lot of research on this, guys. You should appreciate the amount of comic reading that some of us have done the past couple of weeks to kind of figure out different things that Gambit has charged over the course of his comic history, and what he can charge and what he can't charge, and then the other kind of little random powers that all kind of tie back into that. So the first little section here that we're going to do is just like him charging objects in general, and charging specifically with the intent of having them explode. In the comics, he tends to prefer charging smaller objects, like the playing cards. They're small, they're quick, it's easy for him to charge them, and then he can fling them out. His first appearance, I think it was little like daggers, or little knives, or some kind of like little metal object that he was using, and then they very kind of quickly changed to the playing cards, and he's been using that pretty much the entire length of his comic history here.
Yeah, so on the playing cards, because I was trying to see if there was like an explanation of why we went from the spikes to the playing cards. But one of the main things that I found on my journey there was that the playing card kind of like first appearance for the character, not necessarily chronologically in the comic appearance, but having the playing cards show up was when he was a teenager and he was helping Etienne with his tilling. They were taken by the pig and put in this kind of facility for other kids that had been stolen away by the pig. And this room was called the playroom, and it was supposed to be their kind of rec room, and Etienne had stolen some playing cards, because the whole point of the tilling was that he was supposed to steal something. Kind of got a bit sidetracked by being kidnapped. Yeah, it happens.
Minor details.
Yeah, so, but he was like, at least I'm going to steal something, so he steals playing cards. And then later on, when he and Remy are escaping, the playing cards fall out of his pocket, and teenage Remy actually uses those as weapons for the first time, charges them up, so it's a small object
because they felt right.
Yes, they felt right.
Yeah,
I
remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another example of a
retcon. Because I was like,
that we
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
years later that makes everything make sense. So
yeah,
I love those kind of retcons. Those are like, it's like little Easter eggs that you get.
Well, and because they're like really tiny and thin, so
I mean,
yep.
tactically,
easy to carry around.
They make sense.
There's a lot of them.
They have their little pouch. It works out.
They look cool.
They do look cool.
It's iconic.
That's the reason I have like 15 things of playing cards like floating around my house, despite only ever
relatively
using,
inexpensive.
I think, 1 pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it fits with the name as well, doesn't it? Gambit, gamble, and that's usually associated with cards.
There you go.
Yep.
See, full circle,
There you
people. It just took us years to get there.
Hmm.
The other thing that we've noticed is, off and on in canon, he has discussed like charging larger objects, and then how that takes him a little longer to do. I know that you have a tangent for this, Liv, with the charging objects and different time. I know in canon so far we've seen him charge several very large things, like an anchor. He's charged a couple of at least 2 different railroad cars, and then I believe I couldn't find the issue last night. I was looking for it. I think it was either during the all new Wolverine run or somewhere in that era. He charged like a helicarrier, I want to say, or like some kind of, it was like a big flying object of some kind where he like put his hands on it and like charged it and told people that it's going to take him a while, and it was basically inferred that it was going to be a suicide mission, and then it ended up not being. I'll have to look
Was
up
that
the
not
comic
X-Men
later.
Red?
Was that Red?
I think it was X-Men Red.
Okay.
Because I remember him charging that big
Maybe that's
ship
why I
thing.
couldn't find it, because I went down the rabbit hole
Yeah.
looking into
Yeah.
all new
I
Wolverine.
think it was X-Men Red.
I thought it was around the beans when he charged the can of beans, which is
I love
hilarious
Yeah.
in all new
The
Wolverine.
beans.
I think that is one of my favorite things he's ever charged in my life. The
That's
can
great.
of beans. I thought it was in that
And, like,
general area.
I know in his first solo series, didn't he charge a statue at the church? Am I misremembering that?
I think you're right. He does charge a
I think you're
statue.
right,
I know
yeah.
that. I think it is the first solo run.
Yeah. Lots of big things.
Yeah.
Lots of big
So
things.
yeah, whenever I was trying to find this, and I was specifically thinking of this one panel that I could not for the life of me remember where it was from, and luckily Meg came through and we were able to figure it out. But it's when he's charging up a boat anchor, and that was in Uncanny from '94, I think. And he specifically, first off, he makes a Star Trek reference, which I'm here for. It's just like I kind of changed the laws of physics, and then goes about that was the worst Scotty impression ever.
That was,
I did
You
not
sound
even
just
try.
like
supposed to be.
That was like a half-ass. I was thinking about it, and then I chickened out at the last minute. So I don't need Vonnie to judge me. And
Well,
but he like specifically says like the bigger the object, the longer it takes to charge, which I appreciate. This is where I really think that Marvel especially shines in general, is a lot of their stuff makes actual sense scientifically, and like I don't know how much research and effort they actually put into it, but something like this, I think I've mentioned it like in passing to all of y'all at some point, but Gambit's powers make sense from just a science perspective. It's kinetic energy. If we want to get really nitty gritty into it, it's really diffusion and manipulation of like vacancies within a structure. All of these things, because it's in my dissertation, it makes sense. So it's not just I think the overall phrasing of he manipulates kinetic energy is a bit of a generalization. It's really manipulating the kind of internal structure of these objects and allowing the energy to pass through it a lot more easily, to the point of overloading and then having this explosive burst of energy when they make impact on something, or with a time charge and things like that. So that's one thing. And then on the kind of larger sized objects, when I was trying to look down the rabbit hole, I came across a train, which was really funny because I'm trying to tell Meg, yes, he charged this train before, and like Bishop was there, and it was a runaway train, he was charging it up, and Bishop had like siphon energy, and Meg is like, yeah, and he talks about how long it takes to charge it, and I'm reading it and I'm like, no, he doesn't. What are you talking about? And she's like, what are you talking about? And she sends me a screenshot. She's like, it's from Excalibur. And I'm like, okay, so apparently he's charged 2 trains.
like a boss.
So I was like, if I had a nickel for every time that Gambit charged up a train,
I mean,
I'd have 2
technically
nickels.
speaking, technically speaking, I think yours was a subway car.
What? Okay.
It's a different kind. It's a different kind
a
of. It's still a
type
train.
of train.
It's
Well,
ma'am,
actually-
don't go down train semantics with
Actually.
me. Do not do it. I have a dumb amount of train knowledge.
Do you?
Why, that's the autism.
I
though.
do. I don't want it, but it's there. It is in
Okay.
my brain unbidden. But they both run on the same technology. I would count it as a train.
Okay, counts. Final
I
answer.
agree.
It counts.
But yeah, so bigger objects taking longer to charge. A plus. Thank you for actually keeping it scientifically accurate. That makes sense. If you have a larger area, takes longer time to get a charge to go through it.
So, related to that, they've explained in canon that like a charged playing card is about a grenade level, and he can kind of control the amount of explosion
Which is
for
crazy.
whatever that he is sitting, which is absolutely insane to me. However, I guess it makes sense with the bigger the object, the larger the explosion. I don't know, the reason he uses those playing cards keeps cycling back to like they're easy for him to carry, they're easy for him to throw. But I like that it's not always like with the intent to kill or the intent to like really harm. Like sometimes it's just like he just puts a little bit of juice in them, and it just kind of goes as like a distraction or something along those lines, or just like it's not meant to actually like harm people, which sometimes when you're dealing with mutants that have like these chaotic powers that are like obviously very destructive, like you only ever see them destroy shit. You don't see them like using it in a more nuanced application. It's always just like bam, like this is bad things are happening. So I appreciate that Gambit's powers, he kind of adjusts them to use them practically when he's in battle. So it's not just like you're going into battle and just shit's blowing up around you. Like it's very controlled in its application, I guess. Same thing with like the exploding of larger things like that, the anchor and the other stuff like that. Those are intended to kind of create a bigger, more catastrophic explosion than like your playing card level stuff.
Or like episode 5 in X-Men 97.
Yeah,
Amazing.
We're gonna get into that.
Amazing. That was the best.
So for those of you that haven't seen X-Men 97, spoiler alert, Gambit does use his powers there to blow up a very, very large object. Does not end well. I'm not going to go further than that. We don't.
But
need
it
to
was
get
cool.
into the PTS. It was really cool. It was awesome. He looked absolutely badass.
Absolutely.
So
Till the
really, really
last
cool
second.
party trick you can only do once.
Yeah, it's kind of like, ta-da! That was it. Literally.
I'll be here all
Liv,
week.
you had-
Oh, wait.
Oh
Liv, you had- oh, God, Riley.
Oh. It's still too soon. It's
Get
still
out.
too
Is
soon.
it? Really?
Get out.
Really?
Still too
Jesus
soon.
Christ.
Bye.
And with that, Riley's off the podcast. I'm just kidding. We need him.
Bye,
We
it
need the
was
male
nice.
influence, or else we just get absolutely unhinged in here, and it's not safe.
No.
Liv, you had something to add before we tangented.
Sorry.
which one?
We were talking
Sorry,
about
where were we
his charging different levels of charge for explosions with stuff, and we were like,
Yes, thank you. I immediately already forgot what my point was until you said that. Yes, so on the level of charge that he's kind of imbuing these objects with, that sometimes they don't explode. So kind of like you were saying, because I think there's been a couple times where he's like kind of charged up a card and used it as essentially a flashlight before, and his bow staff, he uses that in fights a lot and can like charge it up and have it kind of have some sort of a more forceful impact on stuff, but kind of don't want to blow up your primary weapon usually. So yeah, there's some ways that he's able to kind of manipulate it so that it has energy, but it's not fully exploding, which I think also in the first episode of X-Men 97, he charges up the staff and chucks it at the Sentinel, and I'm assuming he got the staff back at some point, because, you know, he's using it later. Either that or
it reappears.
He's just got a closet full of staffs. Like, damn it, blew one up again. But yeah, I kind of assumed that was a situation where it was charged up and unleashed. I think that was a timed release of energy, but that the staff itself was still intact afterwards. So the modulation of energy put into an object shows a lot of control.
Well, you see it in episode 5 as well, don't you, with the scarf? He almost like flicks it and it charges the energy out, but the scarf is still there, like on that episode 5.
See, I appreciate that they finally found like a good use for the slutty little scarf. That's what I call it, by the way. That is my,
that was so
my
cool.
pet name for that
It was
little
like
scarf.
a choosh.
Because he's always worn those in like the X-Men original series, and then like in the comics periodically, like he's got kind of this like little scarf, and you're like, what is the point of that? It's not, because it's like not a heavy enough scarf for like wintertime. He's not dressed for wintertime. Like it's
fashion,
just there
Meg.
for fashion.
It's
I
an
know.
ascot.
But it's not just fashion, because whoopah, like he can use it, and it has this. That's amazing to me. Like it's.
Like, I
It's
know
both-
we're not talking about X-Men 97, but I just want to say they really showcased everything that he can do.
They really
Like,
did.
what he's capable of. They really
And I
let him
think-
shine.
That show is a really good place for new people to have come in. Like realistically, for people that are
100%.
just have never been exposed to the X-Men before, like seeing
How dare
him
they?
in that show with his powers the way that they're supposed to be, and just looking just completely badass, mind you. Like that is important to get people like that interested, because that's kind of what hooked us, most of us as kids, except for comics, is just kind of like that hey, this guy's really cool, he does something kind of different, like, look at all the things that he could do, and then you're like, hey, wow, that's awesome, I want to learn more about that character. So I think it's very important for them to have showcased him the way they did in 97, especially given how that worked out for him. But it got a lot of people enamored with the character, and like, hey, he's got a really unique, cool power set, and he does like just a host of different things. It's not just the same thing over and over. Like, he used the scarf, he charged the sentinel, he, you know, had that kind of swagger about him, and he had his bow staff fighting sequence where he lopped the head off that other, was it another sentinel? Yeah. And then he like skids in like, ta-da, look what I did, and you're just like, dude, like, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the representation we've wanted for like years, and we finally got it briefly. Hopefully they'll continue.
5 episodes.
Hopefully they'll continue that with season 2. Again, we're going off on a tangent about X-Men 97, but I think they've set a precedent.
Sorry.
For the way he is going to be presented moving forward. So it's very nice. Yeah. Another thing that's, speaking of X-Men 97, that we're going to debate about is Gambit typically, and I say this typically, cannot charge organic matter. It has been referenced in the comics that he cannot charge organic matter, and then periodically forgotten. There's been a couple of major instances. In Dark Wolverine number 8, he charged organic matter. In X-Men Legacy 214, he charged organic matter. And in Deadpool versus Gambit number 3 and number 5, he charged organic matter. I'm sure that there's more instances out there, but those are the kind of the big ones. And then X-Men 97, he charged a beignet, which is organic matter, presumably.
Extra crispy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Liv, you're going to tangent real hard, so I'm just going to go ahead and punt to the scientist. Because she's just like foaming at the mouth over here, like, let me talk about this.
Let me in. Let me in, coach.
Let me in, coach.
Okay, so first of all, on your exceptions, first of all, well, actually, so the in the Dark Wolverine, I actually looked at this one because as soon as I saw the note on that, I was like, wait, did he? I think he did. Let me go. I don't remember that. So I think in that one, he's not charging up. He's not charging the arm, because the hand that is doing the punching that he's holding onto is the one that has like a glove and a gauntlet and a sleeve. So I think that in that one, he's not charging up the actual living tissue of the arm. I think he's charging up the clothing around it.
The fashion gets you every time.
The fashion it's going to make or break you, man. And interestingly enough, that's also kind of alluded to in the X-Men 97 tie-in comic, the fourth one, when Rogue borrows Gambit's powers for a minute and is threatening to do the same thing, charging up somebody's uniform to essentially blow them up, which she's bluffing, but they don't know that. So I think that that's kind of what was happening in that one. In the X-Men Legacy, I looked at that one. I got nothing. I don't have an explanation for that one. That makes no sense to me. He just both hands on what Sebastian Shaw's chest and is like, yeah, I'm gonna charge him up. Like, I didn't.
He did one of these and went, charge.
That is exactly.
Pineapple, Riley. I was not expecting the first one to be you.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Come on. That's mild.
You're supposed to be the better of us, Riley. Jesus.
Live by the sword, die by the sword?
Listen, after the day I had, no. Let me have a little fun.
Yeah, and then the Deadpool versus Gambit, that one is a genuine special exception, because that one, his powers were scrambled. It's the official term for it. So they're essentially inverted, that he could only charge organic matter, and he also couldn't control it, so he kind of blew up a couple people by accident.
Minor details.
Minor details. They were fine. They were fine.
He's in the hospital. It worked out.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. He kind of I think they crashed a barbecue at some point, and he was using like hamburgers and hot dogs as weapons.
Yeah.
So that was it was a thing. But yeah, so that was kind of a bit of a special exception. But I think Vonnie had some thoughts on the beignet.
Well, yeah, it was just the fact that most of the ingredients are technically classed as organic compound, and also yeast is a living organism. Mm-hmm. And even when baked, it can still survive slightly as well. So, sorry about the beignets.
That's so much more technical.
No boom.
No boom.
Maybe they
Not
just
even
used
a
like
sizzle.
really shitty flour from somewhere that had like some rocks in it, and that's it happened.
Yeah.
See, this is where my my degree finally becomes relevant, because in the ancient world, when they actually made bread, they had really shitty milling equipment, and the shitty milling equipment would get rocks into things, and your level of status meant you got bread without rocks versus bread with rocks. So that's why a lot of people in the ancient world had broken teeth, is because they were eating bread as a regular staple that had milling equipment basically ground into it. So technically, there could be foreign objects in the beignets, but that would just mean the X-Men is just running the lower echelon of food tiers when they're going to buy their food stuffs.
The Xavier Institute gets shitty flour, is what I'm hearing.
Was it Jean who did the shopping?
You know, that's probably it.
100%.
She was just like,
100%.
it was on sale. It's fine.
So I
sale at
saw.
Aldi.
Oh God.
Anybody got a quarter?
So I saw the beignet observation, and then that got me thinking, and then I realized that thinking too hard in the comic world is a no-no. Because I almost broke everything, but it's okay. I got it. I'm gonna fix it, because as soon as Vonnie mentioned that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. So if we're categorizing plant material as organic matter, then yeah, that makes sense. So things that are like, wooden and whatnot, plant product, wouldn't be able to charge that. What are playing cards made of?
Oh God.
They have a coating. They have a coating.
Plastic coating.
Is it an inorganic coating?
Oh,
It's a plastic coating.
So cheap, shitty playing cards also.
Everything's cheap. That's the answer.
Everything, it has to be cheap. It has to be imported stuff that nobody would regularly buy, and then it would.
Got them Temu cards, right? That's what it is.
Temu cards, Temu flour.
The retailers
Temu
are
plastic,
available.
all that.
So I figured out how to fix it. So don't panic. I immediately had an existential crisis of, oh God, I've just unraveled the entire character's primary weapon. Shit. But
No, you didn't.
but I remembered that sometimes the organic part is loosely interchanged with living versus non-living. So I think that is probably the more effective description, because there's in the 2004, I think it was, solo run when he's back in New Orleans and there's zombies happening. There is a point where he's talking with Brother Voodoo, and he's like, "These are my powers. What are your powers?" And he mentions that he can charge non-living things. And Brother Voodoo's like, "Okay, so does that mean that you're able to charge zombies because they're not living?" And Gambit's like, well, one way to find out, and he is able to blow up a zombie.
I remember that.
So I think that might solve both the very critical playing card issue, assuming that they're not just cheap Temu playing cards. But that would also explain the beignet, because if it has to be a living organic thing, or it needs to be a non-living organic thing, then the beignet would be able to be charged.
But the yeast.
The important.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how. It's a very small amount of yeast comparatively.
So
He's
he's
the part
charging
with
everything
the-
around
You don't
it.
even need yeast.
Yes, he's charging all the other stuff that is not the yeast.
Yeah, the poor little
Yeah,
yeast are
and
there
you
just like,
charge
oh
around
my
it.
God, what is happening?
Yeah.
Think of the yeast.
Think of the yeast.
Actually, don't think of the yeast. That makes a beignet really depressing. Like, don't think of the yeast. Things. Anyway,
Moving on.
moving on just before we go
In
into
other
it.
news.
Very sad. Moving on.
So that's basically the main power that he has. Is he charges things, little things charge faster than big things. they explode or lightly explode or basically shine for a little bit and then it fades out. So he can kind of control that level. I don't know, like a better way to put like flashlight. He uses them for light, obviously. Like so that doesn't technically explode. It shines for a little bit and then it kind of fades out.
It just sounds poetic.
So he can. We should make a book of poetry after this. Oh Lord. Anyway, so basically he charges things and they go boom. However, related to this energy conversion, there's a bunch of other little random powers that he has done, and we'll kind of go into some of these and talk about them as we're going along, that are related but not quite the same. So the first one is dissolution, and this is all stuff that you guys can find on Gambit's Marvel database entry. That's where a lot of this is pulled from, and then we went back through and referenced other comics as we could find them. He has the power to make objects pull themselves apart, making them kind of just melt down into nothing. So instead of just like blowing up, he can essentially make them just go away. He did that to dissolve shrapnel in somebody's stomach. He has used it to kind of blow up debris to keep it off of things. He has used ice, or used it on ice that he was encased in. I don't know if, because there was a spot in the last Uncanny Run, or this current Uncanny Run, where Rogue was trapped in ice, and I'm not sure if he did the same thing with her. It was kind of off-panel, we didn't see it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
he has done that to himself, where he has charged ice, and it just
away?
kind of, like, fell away from him. Yeah, he was like, how do you thaw wet? Bitch, you know how to do that. You did that to yourself. Don't be asking questions you already know the answer to.
He lazy. He don't want to do that.
That particular incident with the ice with him was in Gambit Volume 5, number 17. So if anybody wants to look that one up. But he does have the power to kind of just... Dissolution's probably the best, or just dissolution is probably the best. Scientists, take it. You know the science. I'm just talking out of my ass. So, please.
Once again, this makes sense because
Once again,
if we're looking at things with the kinetic energy, and like I was kind of saying earlier with the diffusion and the movement of things through other things, so essentially you're breaking down bonds is what's happening. That's how everything melts. That's how everything dissolves apart. So if he's able to manipulate the diffusion of energy through various atomic sites, which is how the kinetic energy would work, then being able to manipulate those areas and bonds and essentially start to break them down through energy manipulation, you end up with dissolution of things and melting of ice.
So the science makes sense.
Chemistry!
Yeah, I hate chemistry. So I'm really glad that we have included you on this podcast, because, again, though I did find a way to make my degree relevant one whole time, that is not the case for most of these things.
Congratulations.
Flour, damn it.
Rocks and flour, damn it. And yeast. That's the other thing. I know that. Oh, Lord. We got to my wheelhouse for 5 seconds today. It just made me happy, that's all.
hey,
I
achievement
posted my
unlocked.
kinetics book for this.
I'm so proud of you. I'm glad you have a kinetics book, because I do not.
Oh, wow.
Somewhere
Nerd.
back
Anyway.
there. Hey! Okay. Love you too.
So the other powers that are related to energy conversion, we have disruption. This one I thought was kind of interesting, because in X-Men Volume 2, number 34, Gambit took his explosive acceleration and scrambled the sensory awareness of somebody that just kind of like it knocked them out. So it wasn't actually impacting the person. It was kind of using the air around them, the molecules around them, to kind of confuse them enough to knock them out. Do you have any thoughts on the science behind that, or not really?
No, that one's not my wheelhouse. That's once you start like I do metals, I do physical materials. Once you start getting into humans, they are squishy and complicated, and I don't deal with them.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point.
Yeah, very squishy.
So he can't theoretically, except for the couple exceptions, blow up people, but he can, I guess, screw with the environment around them to make them confused. And on the same kind of hand here is he's able to use that kinetic energy and tapping into that energy to make himself faster, stronger, and like speed up his reaction time. There's a lot of Gambit's powers that are physical, and you don't kind of realize they're physical because you just see him in the comics like jumping around, flipping the bow staff, kind of being acrobatic, but you don't, it's not like explicitly mentioned that it's his powers that make him that way. It kind of it's alluded to, I think, in like the basketball scene from the early X-Men comics, where they say no powers, and they're like, but Gambit's power is his natural athleticism. So at what point is it power? What point is it him?
It's got to be the shoes.
Yeah.
It's the shoes.
I immediately thought you were talking about the like Gambit's other powers.
I'm not going into things.
I'm just quoting Jubilee. Got to be the
Takes
shoes.
shirt off.
Pineapple.
Just referencing the episode.
I know you were. I just know how we're gonna go. If you open that door, some of us, me specifically, are gonna run through it, and I'm just
Close
trying
the
to
door
keep
and
that
lock
from
it.
happening. We have to stay on track today, ladies. Riley, you're doing a terrible job. I'm the one keeping us on track. However, back to his acrobatic scene. Now it's gonna go bad because now we're talking about his coordination and endurance and acrobatics.
It's got some good moves.
He's got some good moves. So the added edge, like it's referenced in a lot of the comics. Give Volume 3, number 25 and number 6. Under normal circumstances, he has basically like almost superhuman type powers because he's able to kind of use the energy around him to move faster, be quicker, like reaction-wise be quicker, not just like physically moving faster, and then he's just very agile and acrobatic. So in like going through the comics, you see him doing these acrobatics, but again, it's not explicitly implied like, hey, it's because of the power. But if you look at the power set and how it works and how he's able to manipulate energy, it does kind of make sense.
It does.
Comic sense, but also a little bit of sciencey sense. Did you have anything to elaborate on that? I know people are squishy, but
No, I think that my only like I'm perfectly willing to be like, yep, comic logic, I'm good on that. I think my only exception to that would be that that one bit from Excalibur, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Because
that was
when
a
I was
hang up for a lot of people actually during that run.
it doesn't make sense. Because I was trying to, I have not fully read through Excalibur. I'm gonna put myself. Okay, all right. I was like, all right. I'm gonna put myself out there, but thank you. All right, sacrifice yourself with me. So I hadn't read it through all the way, so I was trying to look up this train issue that Meg had been talking about. And in the same issue, in the beginning, there's a moment where like a sniper type person is taking a shot at the assembled group, specifically Gambit, and he bitch slapped it out of the air.
Yeah, he did.
How?
I like that. By the way, that was her text to me. She was like, "Did he just bitch slap a bullet out of the air?" Yes, he did.
It's literally on panel, like 2 inches from his hand, and then his hand goes down. There's a burst of light and everybody's fine, and I'm so confused.
So my thoughts about that is, in some of his early appearances, like he had the ability to charge stuff with his eyes and to charge energy without kind of touching it. And I'm wondering if it was more like the reaction time allowed him to realize something was coming at him and he just kind of pushed out energy and the bullet was caught in that energy and exploded, versus him actually like touching the bullet, because it doesn't actually show him like, physically touching the bullet and the bullet exploding. It just shows that the bullet is kind of coming at him and then explodes. So if you're looking at the power sense that he has had before, where he's able to kind of, I don't want to say like do it with his mind, but like where he's able to control like a kind of a front in front of him or an area in front of him,
an indirect
sort of
contact
with the bullet would make sense for that.
Okay.
That is reaching. That is me reaching. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I can see like maybe it's a survival instinct, fight or flight sort of.
Yeah, like he just
like a one-off. Like he doesn't do that normally.
Yeah, he heard something and was just like, I do that with things periodically. Just like I hear a fly somewhere. Ugh! Like it's the same kind of thing. I can't blow up the fly, though. I would love to be able to. That'd be an awesome power. I live in the sticks, people. Flies annoy the shit out of me on a regular basis. Like, if I had no other power, just that would be great.
Amazing.
So my whiskey tango comes out. Sorry.
That was my only note. Is I read that and I was shooketh.
You were shooketh. He literally dodged a bullet that time.
He does it every now and then.
Except for the ones he didn't. We talked about that on last episode, so if you haven't listened to episode 2, it's important to go back and listen to that one, so we do a little bit of an explanation on the time he didn't stop a bullet. Well, I guess he technically did. For a second. Armor is important. That's the gist you need to get out of this. Armor is important.
See, if he had had the head sock on.
See, it wouldn't have been a problem.
But
everybody bitches about the head sock till it keeps him from dying.
But them knives.
And
the punches.
And the punches.
See, that's just, I think that's like hubris. They're like, someone needs to be able to punch him so he's not completely, doesn't go right to his head, you know?
Right.
Just every once in a while, a good square punch on the jaw.
Like a
It's
bullet?
alright, that was... Oh! Damn it.
I mean, where's the line?
That's...
Where is it?
There's truth, and it's canon supported, so... Oh, another power that's not talked about enough, like my segue there, is his accelerating regeneration. Everybody always talks about Wolverine can heal himself, Wolverine can heal... Wolverine's not the only one who can heal himself. Thank you very much. While I wouldn't say that it's a healing factor, because it's technically not.
No.
No.
He can kind of stimulate his own cellular activity. Shut up, Liv. through this process.
I was keeping a straight face.
Or you. Through this process, he has healed himself after removing things from his own body, such as he removed like a piece of bone slag that was lodged in his chest during Gambit 91 number 1. He has self-cauterized and healed stab wounds during a fight with Bullseye, also in that same Gambit 99 run in issue 17. And then he used that same power to kind of help Sage. We're going to get into this later when we start getting into the Gambit comics, but in X-Men Volume 2, number 165, there was a period there where he was blind, and Sage was able to kind of help restore his vision by augmenting his powers that he already had. So it's like not like she healed him, she used his powers to heal him, which was a very weird, short-lived arc, thankfully, that did not continue. He's also, like, if you guys have read Mr. and Mrs. X, there's a part where he, like, literally cuts a hole in himself. Like, he opens a stab wound, puts stuff in there that he can charge, sews it shut, and then later, it's disgusting, later pulls those out and uses them. And that's, if he couldn't heal himself, that would just be a really dumb idea. So, he has to be
valid.
Like,
I mean,
he's using
it was
his body
still
as a
hurt.
pocket. It still hurts. But it's not something that can't go away. And that would also kind of explain, like, he doesn't have a lot of scars on his body. We see him without a shirt quite a lot, because, thank God.
That's probably why then.
He's always taking his damn shirt off. It's also canon. You don't see a lot of scars on him. Like, he was literally impaled with a sword at one point, and nothing. There is no marks on him at all whatsoever that reference that. And if he has that kind of healing ability where he can regenerate his own tissue, the lack of scars makes sense.
It's a bit of an inconsistent ability. So is that just because people are worried that it would make him too overpowered if he had the ability to regenerate all the time, or like...
Honestly, I think this is one of those aspects that writers forget about.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of focuses on, like, oh, Gambit's cool, like, he throws playing cards, this is what he charges things and he blows up. They forget the other kind of things that are related to that, which is a lot of the stuff that we're kind of going over today, is the little things that are associated and not necessarily just the go boom.
Yeah.
Like, there's other powers that tie into that, and that regeneration obviously is one of them.
Yeah, because I think that the main points that you were kind of listing off there, Sage was augmenting his powers, kind of like you mentioned, but the other two, I think, were both when he was a little bit higher powered after he did his little time travel stint, and kind of came back with full potential, no pun intended, was when he healed himself. No? Okay, I don't know about the first one. The first one with the bone fragment. No, that was when he had the green gas chick in Antarctica.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot going on.
Eating plastic and all that. Back to the plastic.
Oh, God.
There we go.
So Gambit can also supercharge the energy of things that have already been kind of charged up to get more of a bang out of even the smallest objects. And it makes them kind of have like a greater concussive force or a stopping power. This is seen in Gambit number 5, volume 17. Again, we're going to reference that one a lot. If you guys haven't read the 5th series, it's a really good series. You should read it. There's a lot of kind of good implementation of his power set in that particular run. So basically he can charge something, throw it, and then have it continue to generate energy before it hits something. Did you have any discussion on the science part of that, Liv, or are you okay with that explanation? You're making a face.
Comic book science. Comic book science.
Liv's
That's
science
it.
corner.
I think that's
Yeah.
Liv's science corner. That one is one that I agree with less.
Less?
That one,
All right.
yeah, because there's limits on things for reasons, and
not.
we already literally
He does
just
what he
said he
wants.
can't change laws of physics, and then he's changing laws of physics.
Marvel
Because
magic,
Gambit-
okay?
It's not a law, it's more of a rule. It's a rule of physics.
It's a suggestion.
It's a suggestion. It's not quite a law.
I mean, like, because the thing is, when you exceed something's capacity to store energy, what does it do? It explodes. So you're already exploding. You're not. There's
can't
only
make it
so
explode
much.
any harder.
Yeah, there's only so much capacity that you're gonna have for explosive energy. Like that one does not make as much sense.
That just
but-
it reminds me of, like, I don't know if you guys have seen Super Troopers, where he's like, "We're already pulled over. We can't be pulled over any farther." You haven't seen that movie? Hilarious. You need to watch it. But that particular part, like, it's already exploded. It can't explode any harder. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that movie.
it's a great movie. It was on TV the other night, so I watched it and was like, "Damn, this is a good movie." I forgot about it. So another thing that Gambit can do is he creates natural static in his body, and because of this, he can shield his mind from intrusion by telepaths. And this is something we have seen, like, starting from his very first appearance. Like, he was able to kind of cloud things, so Xavier couldn't get a good read on him initially. Telepaths couldn't get a good read on him initially, and that has been something that has kind of kept going through the comic lore with him, is that he's able to kind of use a natural static to keep telepaths out of his brain. He also can increase that effect by holding a charged object near his head, and we see that in Gambit Volume 3, number 8. He says it's uncomfortable, and it doesn't totally prevent telepathic invasion, but it is something that he has used. He has also used, and this is my favorite thing, in one of the Gambit solos, he had this really disturbing imagery of, like, the Blob naked in his head. So if telepaths do happen to break through the static interference, they're slapped in the face with that visual, and then they just peace out. And they're like, "Dude, I don't know what's going on with you.
They're like, oh.
Clearly you have some issues if that's what you're picturing at all time."
That was funny.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think that would, even the bravest telepaths would be like, "Oh God, no. Like, no, why?" But to visualize it that clearly, that's something he had to have seen in his lifetime. Like, that had to be a visual that he had that just lives in there.
Yeah, either way, if you've either seen it or you've made it up yourself, that's wrong in both ways.
It's not really a good way to have that visual.
It's a tactic, that's for sure.
It is a tactic. It's definitely
I think
a
that
tactic.
he talks about the memory. It's a memory. He said that there was a fight where essentially he had a wardrobe malfunction.
Oh Lord, that's
Okay, so a Janet Jackson moment.
Oh.
Gotcha.
That's. I some things you can't unsee. I'm just saying. So clearly that's something that he can never unsee, and he's just going to subject all the telepaths to it.
The natural static would also explain some of his hairstyles.
That's why it defies gravity. It's like constantly charged.
It's like Medusa.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes sense, especially like the X-Men '97 and like the Jim Lee run, where it's just kind of doing whatever the hell it wants.
Now I'm just picturing like when you hold the balloon to your hair and it's just
Exactly. But he's just channeling energy
over out here
constantly.
looking like a troll doll.
It's like, brush your hair. He's like, I did. It just made it worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So related to the static interference is Gambit can also make things vibrate. Shut up. He can kind of emit a shockwave that kind of helps stuff. So he's done this with his bow staff, and he's done it with Captain America's shield. Rather than exploding, it just releases the energy upon impact. We also saw this, so not just in like Gambit Volume 5 and in his Avengers where he's fighting Captain America, but in X-Men '97, and this is a very important thing to bring up, he did that with Wolverine's claws. And everybody seems to think that he charged up Wolverine's claws with the intent to make them explode. And what he actually did was kind of like superpower them. So when Wolverine jumped up and attacked the Sentinel, the claws had more force behind them than they usually would. So this is something that I have thought fought about with people on Reddit and a couple other places on the internet because they're like, oh, it would have just blown him up. And it's like, no, because then Gambit would have blown up his bow staff regularly, because he does that with his bow staff regularly, where he charges it up and he uses it kind of as an accelerated weapon. It's not just he makes things go boom. There's more nuance to that, you uneducated swine. Anyway, do you have any thoughts on that as the scientist, or anybody have anything to add to that?
Well, now I'm scared to.
I just want to point out that
I will fight you.
while you were talking about vibrating a bow staff, I was not laughing.
I have been dying since you started that entire thing, and so has Vonnie, because I think we both keep making eye contact. That's the problem.
So, in case you're new to this
good
podcast,
times. Good
we all
times.
have a cumulative dirty mind. Like, it's collective. We're all horrible. And just there's a lot about Gambit's powers that set us up for failure.
Pretty much.
Talking about
Wording.
vibrating bow staffs and being
Wording.
athletic, and just there's a lot. That's why this
What did I say
podcast has
last
an 18
night?
over rating.
Was it about like charging large? There was something involving charging large objects, and I immediately regretted how I phrased it. I don't remember now, but yeah,
I behaved.
there's a lot of opportunity.
There's so much opportunity to misbehave.
But yeah, I think that the explanation that you had makes the most sense, because like I was saying earlier, the kind of having a control over how much energy is stored in it instead of just everything is maxed all the time makes sense. Also, for Cap's shield, that could be a property of the shield itself, because isn't that like kind of the whole thing with vibranium, is that it absorbs external energy thrust upon it. So charging it up that doesn't blow up. I think it just kind of
No, it just hits
release
harder. It doesn't explode.
Yeah. So I think that's partially because of the shield, but probably the charge regulation as well. For the Wolverine thing, like, I don't think that I can actually come up with an argument against it, just because I don't want to. It looks too cool. And yeah.
Just ignore it, people.
Just ignore it.
Marvel
That
magic.
was genuinely,
It's a
God, like, there were
cartoon.
so many good moments in that first episode, but that one I think was genuinely one of the ones where I was like doing just a happy dance. It was the coolest looking thing. So yeah, I think that for that, a couple explanations are either he is charging just the claws, because if you think about it, if he's unable to charge living things, then he can't charge up Wolverine, like the rest of him. He just has the metal that he's able to be in contact with. So just the claws would be making the impact. There's the alternative explanation of, because Wolverine likes to completely regenerate, that he did in fact just blow up and we just didn't see it. And by the time we have him come on scene again, he's back.
New shirt and everything.
It's just a flesh wound.
He got better.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Oh, no.
So the other thing that we've kind of discussed this before is, like, he has the ability to remote charge stuff. We've touched on it in a couple different things today. He, at the height of his power, he could charge things from a distance with nothing but direct eye contact. He does that kind of again in Excalibur. So he's able to kind of, we talked with the bullet and there's a couple other things where he uses that skill to, like, focus his acceleration with a gesture versus actually touching stuff. That is again a power that is very, like, seldomly used. We do see that very rarely. Like, I think it's just like in Gambit Volume 3 a couple of times, and then just in Excalibur. There was a lot of stuff about Excalibur that was either like way callbacks to stuff before, or maybe a little bit of writer misremembering his power set and just kind of going with it. But it's stuff that had been previously established, so they didn't technically pull anything out of their ass. Technically, but I don't know that the research was there to support it. You know what I mean? Like, just because they're right doesn't mean
That it was on purpose.
that it was on purpose and that it was intended to be right. There's a very high probability that that was not the case. However, because, like, we have seen it in canon before, we're like, okay, most of that kind of makes sense. Let's see, what else does he do? Oh yes, the shearing and cutting. So that's another thing that happens with the cards too. When he charges stuff with them, they don't always explode. Sometimes he uses them to cut things. So he throws them, they slice through objects such as solid steel. They don't explode. We see that a lot in the Gambit solo, the third solo, Volume 3. especially in number 6, he's like throwing cards through like metal and solid steel, and they're just slicing through versus hitting them and exploding. That's a handy power to kind of control versus just making shit blow up all the time. Like, because blowing up is not always the power that is needed. It's handy, but it's not always appropriate, I guess.
You don't always want to blow things up.
Yep, you don't always need to blow stuff up. Let's see, the powering of objects. So we kind of got into this a little bit earlier with the powering of the train in Excalibur, and he's also powered Iron Man's suit in one of the Gambit solos. I don't remember offhand which one it was at this point.
2012.
2012, okay.
Yep, 2012.
So he has used that kinetic energy to actually power things. So in Excalibur, he actually charged up the train, and the train physically moved down the track, and the longer he held on there, kind of like the faster it moved. There's only been a couple times we've seen that, but it all kind of ties into that kinetic energy and power set that he seems to have. So that is not out of the realm of possibility. It's just very rarely used. Delayed charge. That's one of the bigger ones. We don't see him use it a lot, but it's always kind of come in clutch when he does. He's used it in Gambit Volume 3 and then in Mr. and Mrs. X, where he can kind of delay his charge a little bit so it doesn't go off right away. I think we actually also saw that in the Rogue and Gambit solo, the first one, where he throws a card at Rogue when they're kind of recounting their first meeting, and it goes past her, and she's like, haha,
right.
is that the best you got? And then it goes off.
Yeah.
It kind of blows her into him, which is hilarious, by the way. The whole thing, it's by Kelly Thompson, is very, very on par for the two of those two, and their fighting, flirting shit that they have going back and forth. But I just thought that was a particularly hilarious application of that power, where he just waited just long enough to give her the time to start to talk shit. And then, guess what?
You do see it in Deadpool and Wolverine as well. They do it slightly where he kind of holds the card after he's put a card on them all, and then he holds the card and goes boom.
Right.
Because they all go down at the same time, so there's a slight one in that as well.
You're right.
That's the movie, not the comic. There's a
the movie.
The movie.
To clarify, yeah.
That actually, I think, was my favorite part of that particular movie, because we're never gonna get like rated R Gambit again. Like I don't think we're gonna get it again. So they we're gonna use this power and we're gonna make it happen. And he just goes like boom, and then everybody blows up. And the way I squealed in the theater when that happened.
My thing with that is this is definitely not the real Gambit, because Gambit wouldn't be killing people.
He has though. He has killed
but he
people.
didn't go out of his way to like, I'm gonna make sure I kill all these people.
No, that was
Like,
just for dramatic.
no, that's not him. It's not Gambit.
To be fair, those guys
valid.
were assholes.
Yeah.
Not to justify murder or anything, but
Don't justify that Gambit.
I'm giving it a pass for that movie and that movie only, because just everybody in that movie was shitty and needed to be blown up.
Everybody was getting blown up in that movie.
Everybody's getting blown up.
Yeah, I was
better.
more excited when I saw Blade and Elektra enter. Just from the scene, I was like, oh, that's
was a
cool.
badass entry, though. You have to give that.
Yeah.
And then here comes Channing Tatum, and I was like, all right, time for a nap.
Oh.
He ain't no Gambit. Sorry. Anyways,
Like Gumbo has thoughts.
Anyways,
moving on.
the last kind of power that's associated with his kinetic energy here is energy absorption. And we only see this literally, I think, a handful of times. And the big one, again, is Excalibur. We keep referencing Excalibur because, A, he hadn't been in a comic kind of by himself doing a lot of his powers for many years. He was just kind of background. This is the first one, again, where he was brought to the forefront. I think one of the only ones during Krakoa where he was brought to the forefront. And they used him a lot, and they used his powers a lot. And there's one part where they fire a missile at him, and he is able to kind of absorb the energy from the missile, and then it just kind of disappears. So he's done that before with smaller stuff, like with like the ice, where he's made that dissolve. I think this is the first time where it's actually like a moving projectile that he does that with. So it's a new thing, but again, it's not something that he hasn't done. It's just the method in which it's done is very different. Any thoughts on that? Liv, again, you made a face, so I presume that you have something to say.
Live Science Corner.
Liv Science Corner again.
She needs a
Needs
jingle.
something.
Very handy.
I was gonna say
like
a jingle.
This is great.
She needs a jingle.
Jingle every time we go to Live.
Science Corner with Liv. That's what we need. That's what we need.
I think I have two main thoughts on this. One, I hate it. Just because
First of all,
Everything
reason.
Live
Second of all,
It's very scientifically backed. I hate it. No, because just purely because like that's not his thing. Like that's Bishop's thing. Like get your own thing. I don't like that it's
maybe that's why Bishop doesn't like him. He's like, Bish stole my power.
Yeah,
wow.
you know, headcanon.
There it is.
But yeah, so that's just my own personal. I don't love it because of that. But from a again energy manipulation sort of lens, I could see it. Because if we're kind of looking at it as he's able to manipulate the kinetic energy and the state of the system and everything, but he's really only using it to introduce more energy into the system, which is essentially being a catalyst, which should also be a cool other superhero name if we didn't have Gambit, by the way. Gambit's 1,000 times better, would never change his name, but if someone had a similar power set, that'd be an interesting one. But I digress. We only ever see him working one way, putting more energy into something, not taking it back out. But if his whole thing is he's able to convert potential energy to kinetic energy, then it stands to reason that the opposite could happen. That he's able to take kinetic energy, convert it back to potential.
Science,
thermodynamics.
woo!
Science corner.
Like you're talking, and it's like,
You were looking very glazed over.
yeah. There's a lot of words that those are certainly a lot of words in an order. That's for sure.
I can be worse.
I know you can. I have been on the receiving end of this. I'm good.
Well,
So I think the big elephant in the room here that we didn't really discuss is that Gambit's powers that he has right now are not his full potential. And it's important to reference that because at one point in his history, Gambit could not control his powers. He was controlling things inappropriately, he was fearful, and because of that, he sought out the help of Mr. Sinister, who is someone that he had had previous experience with. Mr. Sinister was able to operate on him and was able to remove part of his brain or cut off part of his brain that essentially was where his powers could have been. So he nerfed him to a specific level, which is the level that we see him at in comics. So he surgically extracted a part of his brain. It was in Uncanny X-Men number 350, I believe. He kept that part in case they needed it for later, which will become relevant in the future when we start going into the Gambit arcs themselves. But he basically took Gambit's powers and he made them more manageable for Gambit moving forward. And so the power set that we're seeing is the one that he has been nerfed to. It is not his full potential. Now, his full potential was explored in the comics in an arc called the New Sun arc. Okay, so this is the Gambit solo number 3. And when Gambit was this New Sun version of himself, which is it comes from an alternate reality, he comes into 616 and tries to kill Gambit, basically. And his reason for doing that is he was trying to kill basically all the Gambits that existed in the world or worlds. Because
like the movie
he
One.
he was unable to control his powers, and he basically killed his entire universe. He killed his world and all the people on it. So, in like this misguided sense of justice, perhaps, he's trying to just kill all of the Gambits so this doesn't happen again. And he doesn't seem to realize that our particular Gambit does not have the same power set because he was surgically nerfed at a younger age. So, New Sun he has like superhuman physical powers. Like he has more energy, more stamina, more use of that than Gambit does. So the New Sun version of him, like he can't, like our Gambit can't get to the level of endurance and superhuman powers that the New Sun version of Gambit has. He also has no limitation on his powers. New Sun can charge everything. He can charge organic molecules. He can charge living beings. He can charge anything over a distance. If it's close up, it doesn't matter. Anything in his line of sight, even further, the New Sun version of Gambit can blow up, which is part of the reason that he killed his world, is he inadvertently charged all of the people on his planet and wiped them all out at once. So, like, literally every living being on the planet just gone, because New Sun could not control his power set. He could also, like, do the time-delayed explosions, and everything that Gambit can do, just better and bigger and more catastrophically than Gambit can do. So, right now, Gambit at his full potential, he is basically a little bit above a regular human. Like he's more acrobatic, he's faster, he's more agile, that helps him with his physical fighting stuff. He has limitations on his power. He can only charge non-living materials. He can do a variable charge to a certain extent, and he can do time delayed. That's pretty much it. New Sun just blows all of that out of the water, both literally and figuratively. Like, there's no limitations on it. So if we had Gambit to his full potential before brain surgery, he's a very dangerous Omega level mutant, basically. And right now he doesn't fall as Omega, but I think if they were to correct that and have him unlock his whole set of powers, he could very easily be similarly powered to, like, Storm level. Like, he could be up here with what he's able to do, and he's just not, thankfully. I mean, I think it plays out better for him as a character if he's not Omega, because I think we kind of have too many Omegas in the mix already. It just...
Yeah.
It's not as fun if you're telling people that he has no limitations.
Yeah.
Well, I have a thought, if you
Yes.
You have a thought?
Go on.
Sir.
So, during the Krakoa era, that's how you say it, by the way, Gambit died,
Yes.
and he was brought back. So you're brought back fully whole.
Yes.
So therefore, he has his complete brain.
See,
They're not touching that. They're not touching that.
Gail, this is interesting.
Bring it.
Because we've kind of had this discussion before. I think it would be hilarious if, like, Gambit was restored to Omega. We gotta back up a little bit. So going through Excalibur, like, how he got resurrected, it was not the same way that everyone else got resurrected during Krakoa. It was different. So he died in Otherworld. He had to go through the Siege Perilous, and then at the end of the Siege Perilous, he was restored to life. Okay, so usually when you go through that, you go through some kind of, like, change. There's some other change that happens along with it. So I'm not sure if he was resurrected like how he was previously, like how he was born, or if that morphed him into something new. It's open to interpretation. It's never really specified, which is maybe why, because going further past that, like in the next kind of Gambit and Rogue solo, like he was acting very not typical for his normal behavior. Like he was acting very out of character. And if he was wrestling with something like, hey, I noticed that my powers are different, but I don't want to say anything, like some of that behavior kind of makes sense in hindsight. And if
I think he would notice.
I think he noticed, and he just doesn't want to say anything because he knows kind of how dangerous that was. Obviously, like, he had a run-in with New Sun during that whole arc, and New Sun was trying to kill him and basically was like, hey, this is a version of you that is terrible and awful and is trying to kill you. And, like, he has to now reason with that in his head, is like, hey, I have the capability of being this brat bastard, basically. Like, to be just like a horrible, horrible version of himself that kills everybody and then in a misguided attempt of justice tries to continue killing people. Like, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. It's not something that you want to be associated with. So if he realized, like, hey, I have more powers now, I might be capable of being this, that's a lot to deal with, like, as a person and a character. And it might be something that he has kept secretive to himself moving forward. Now, if the potential powers being unnerved, what's the best way to say that? Restored? Unnerved?
Yeah, restored.
I'm just making up words now. Restored.
De-nerfed.
He's restored to his original levels. De-nerfed. To what he was supposed to be. Like, is that why he is now able to, like, all that stuff in, like, Uncanny that he's doing now that hasn't been stuff that he's done in the past? Like, is it because of the power set, or is it other things? There's
The eye.
I'm kind of thinking other things just purely because, like, having gone recently through the New Sun arc in kind of research mode for this episode, when he gets the part of his brain back for the time travel situation and he comes back and he does have the enhanced powers, that it is a plot point that I see you laughing, Meg. Shut up. I'm doing my best here.
for those of you that don't have a visual, Gumbo is
It's
making
just
an
a
appearance for his
baby.
OnlyFans again.
Look at him. He's just a baby.
But it's a plot point that he has the enhanced powers and he once again is struggling to control them. So there's like an incident in the danger room where he accidentally ends up charging and hurting Colossus when he's in his like armored form. And then he kind of storms off and goes out on the dock and is literally blowing up the dock as he's walking because he's emotional and his powers are getting out of control. So I think that if he were fully restored, that he would have more issues with it, and it wouldn't just be kind of a, something feels a little bit off. I think there would be physical representation of the powers not being able to be controlled. I mean, maybe he's got better control over it, but it was kind of presented as this is something that is going to be really, really difficult to master and kind of get a rein on.
See, but if they did it going through the Siege Perilous, this is where, like, because the Siege Perilous, like, makes you, like, is it, like, a better version of yourself? Like, maybe going through that process not only restored his powers, but then gave him the ability to control it, which is why he wouldn't necessarily offhand notice that there was a change, or that we would notice there was a change, because he might be able to have better control of it after going through this. See, that's what bringing him back resurrected this way versus the Krakoa way. Like, it leaves a lot of open, unexplored plot potential.
Okay, I can see
and
that.
I just don't know how much of it that they're going to, and how much of it is like they're just going to forget it and kind of keep moving forward with the story, which would be a bummer, because I think that there's a lot of untapped potential there. To make a power joke, there's an untapped potential there that they could get into. All right, and with that, we've pretty much covered Gambit's kinetic powers and kind of what they do and can do. And we're going to go ahead and play Smash or Pass. So since Riley is back with us this week, you get to ask us the Smash or Pass question, and then we'll all just say it at the same time while we hold up our signs. And then we have to justify. So, Riley, it's over to you.
Okay. Smash or Pass? New Sun.
Pass.
Pass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all don't like blue people? Wow.
Either version, man.
Yeah. He is
Okay.
just a...
Okay. Well, Meg, give us why. Give us why.
This is probably one of the few versions of Gambit that I will pass. He's a dickhead. I just don't like him. Like, he's just... for lack of a better term, like, he just comes in and does his best to try to kill our Gambit through some very entertaining means, don't get me wrong. Like, that whole Assassin's game was hilarious. However, just because you are capable of bad things doesn't mean every potential version of you is capable of bad things. And I think that's just a really bad take, and I'm kind of glad that he's not our prop anymore.
Alright, well. Vonnie.
Well, in the words of Gambit, you don't have my name, experiences, accent, or cute buns.
Okay. Alright.
There you go. Or hair. He's got no hair.
Yeah, he's like,
It's true.
he's
No
bold.
offense to bald people, but for Gambit,
Clean shaven, this one.
Yeah.
You don't even have... Yeah. Okay, Liv.
So my initial thought, because I hadn't read this run in a minute, was I was like, I don't know, my take might be maybe I can fix him. And then I read through it and I was
One
like,
of
no,
those.
never mind.
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I gotta agree with the dickhead theory. He sucks. He just sucks. The personality's bad.
Well, think of everything he's been through.
Sure. Okay, see that's where I think that the seed was planted of the I can fix him. And then I read through it again and I was like, nah.
He's beyond hope.
Yeah, and like either look, the like what Dr. Manhattan sort of blue glowy vibe.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
That doesn't really do it for me. And then the previous look definitely doesn't do it for me. That man can't dress to save his damn life.
Fashion. It all comes back to fashion.
Yeah, so just all of that
Wow.
is just gonna be a hard pass.
New Sun could not pull off the slutty little scarf.
You couldn't pull off anything.
He wasn't wearing nothing, right?
In
Little
this,
Zentai suit? Is that what it was? Same color as the skin? Little Zentai suit?
that was in when he came back from being trapped in whatever like little pocket dimension thing happened. But before that, it's a really horrible looking suit.
it's a very horrible looking suit.
You'll have to show me. I don't remember that.
we
I just
will have
remember
to
him being
refresh on
completely
that.
blue.
Yeah, well,
It is a look.
we can post that up on the Instagram after this.
It is the worst fashion statement I think a
It's-
Gambit could make.
it's
Like, it's bad.
horrible.
It's real
I mean, I don't know.
No.
bad. No. As a Gambit fashion connoisseur, that's bad. It's bad. It's real bad.
Okay, I don't know if I can copy paste this into the chat so you guys can see. I mean,
Oh,
It
wow.
looks like a wrestler.
feast
That's
your
not
eyes.
bad. I've seen worse than that.
Oh,
No,
come
that's
on.
awful.
Look at that. That's a wrestler right there. And
That
is
is-
that the Thundercats logo on his chest? Let me
It kind of looks like it. Fucking Batman.
Thundercats are. Oh
Don't
man.
you disrespect the Thundercats like that. man.
Listen, I'm not disrespecting. Love it. Entering Gambit. New son. Oh no.
He
Yeah,
said
that's
he's a
not
fashion
that
advisor, but he
bad.
killed everybody. That's
not
why he
that
dresses like
bad.
shit. He killed everybody. There's no one to be like, honey, no, don't wear that.
Yeah.
That is
I
awful.
mean, to be fair, he was also like raised in a lab and then went straight to the
there's a
X-Men.
There's a lot of backstory there.
Yeah.
We'll dig into this arc deeper later on, but this is just so you,
You
guys
know
know
what?
at full capability, Gambit is a shitty person without
And he
like
can't
just
get it.
horrible powers.
That
He's gonna be passed, and
Yeah.
he's just not a nice man.
should this be my next cosplay? My next Gambit cosplay?
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many people would know that besides y'all?
Nobody.
I mean, we would, but
Yeah.
you know, if I could do Chef Bit, which was like a one-off Christmas episode reference,
Which
you
is
can do New
great,
Sun.
by the way.
Yeah.
You can do New Sun. I have
But
faith in you.
Chef Bit is iconic, and New Sun is very not.
I mean, they're iconic in their own ways. Anyway, that's enough about New Sun. Because moving on to the last little bit here. This week's Charge the Card Gambit stuff to buy. There's two things. I have two things for you this week. Number one, technically, is already sold out. So David Marquez did a print adapted from his Uncanny X-Men #1 Gambit Rogue together. It was colored by Jim. I'm going to say this wrong. Sharalapatidis. It looks very Polish. It's a very complicated. I tried. An effort was made. It's an 11x17 on satin cardstock. You can get it signed or unsigned. It was $25, and it's sold out in less than 5 hours.
Yeah.
I think that's the fastest I've ever seen a print, other than some of the J. Scott Campbell stuff, sell out like that. Like, that was ridiculous. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous print. Thankfully, Liv managed to score some for some of us before they sold out. Even that, apparently, like, they were in the cart, and then they sold out, and she was like, oh my god, like, they're gonna go, and then they went shortly thereafter. They do, however, have a waitlist option, so if you go on David Marquez's website, and we'll link that down in the comments down below, you can be on the waitlist for the print for the next time he does a run of them. I don't know how many he's gonna do. Presumably, hopefully a lot more, since it sold so fast.
I expect he's gonna do a second print. Yeah.
It was a great print. Like, I'm stoked about it. But it's absolutely gorgeous, and if you like David Marquez's work, it's worth it to go to the website and see if you can get on the wait list for the next one. The second thing is at New York Comic Con, which is coming up here the second week of October. Unknown Comics has an exclusive pin set that they're doing just for New York Comic Con, and it's the Jim Lee like cover with it had everybody on it, kind of individual pins of that. So it's like a set of pins. It has, there's like Magneto and Cyclops and Psylocke and like literally the whole team, and each one is like a little glitter pin. And Gambit's in there, Rogue's in there. The Gambit version, I think he's like sitting down like holding the bow staff. It's a cool looking pin. It's based off Jim Lee artwork. They did do a regular run of these pins, the non-glitter version, last year, and I don't think there's very many, if any, of those left. So if you're going to go to New York Comic Con and you want to spend $125 on a pin set, they'll be there. Coming up for Comic Spotting, upcoming Gambit appearances, he's going to be in Unbreakable X-Men #1, which comes out October 15th. This is going to be a split off of the main continuity. It's during the Age of Revelation, so this is Gambit's arc. There's going to be 3 total comics. The first one is coming out October 15th, and then I think it's like one a month for 3 months, and then it wraps up the end of the year. So we're going to have a temporary pause in our Uncanny X-Men run while this happens. Also, theoretically, he may be in Rogue Storm #1, which is another one of those Age of Revelation arcs that is coming out also on October 15th, and that is the same writer as doing the Storm solo now, the Aodeli. So it's... it's breaking my heart kind of to do the pause because I feel like we have really good momentum going with Uncanny.
Yeah.
But I am curious to see how Gambit's story plays out in Unbreakable and Rogue Storm. Like, I think they're going to be kind of entwining plots, I would assume. For actor spotting convention appearances, we only have one this month. It's going to be Chris Potter. He is going to be at New York Comic Con, and that is, again, October 9th through the 12th, second week there of October. And that concludes our podcast episode for going over Gambit's kinetic powers. Up next, we're going to go into less commonly used powers and stuff like that that's not related to his kinetic energy or semi-related to his kinetic energy. So stay tuned for that one. That's coming out in 2 weeks. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.